I don't know what they're smoking over there at Princeton.
I'm white, and I've got everything I need. No one clutches their purses when they're in a room alone with me. And I can drive for any neighborhood I please at any hour, and the police don't do a thing. So if I see a penny on the ground, I leave it alone and fucking flip it. I'm a straight white male in America. I got everything I need. I'm a guy getting paid more than a girl with a degree. And I can walk down the streets after dark, no one wants to rape me. And I can get a girl pregnant and just as easily flee. Just like my straight white male dad did to me. So if I see a penny on the ground, I leave it alone and fucking flip it. I'm a straight white male in America. I've got all the luck I need. I've got a pile of broken mirrors and I'm walking under ladders and I'm spilling tons of salt, but to me that doesn't matter, cause my skin and my gender and my orientation are the best things to have if you live in this nation. I recommend it highly. If I see a penny on the ground, I leave it alone and fucking flip it. I'm a straight white male in America. I've got all the luck I need. Shit's gonna work out for me, cause I'm a straight white male in America. I've got all the luck I need.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Intellectual Dollar Tree. We do this show live every Wednesday, 7 p.m. Pacific, right here on Twitch, twitch.tv/Echoplex Media. And just to remind everybody, we went ahead and put old Brett and Heather out to pasture last week. So that was a lot of fun. I'm glad we did that. Anyway, I'm producer Dave. You can find me on Grindr, and I don't know, go to website echoplexmedia.com and find ways to give us money.
And I'm HK Perrin. You can find me on Mastodon at hperrin at port87.social.
Fantastic. So since we decided we were going to kind of try to change things up a little this week, you know what we're going to do? We're going to actually watch somebody who generally agrees with us. We're going to watch a show that does exactly what our show does.
Okay.
But we're not going to watch them. The show's Decoding the Gurus, like full disclosure. Chris from Decoding the Gurus has been an online friend of mine for a very long time. Came out of New Atheism just like we did. He's been a guest on the Intellectual Dollar Tree. And we're going to watch their episode about their show, basically. Like they have a thing that they do it for their patrons called the Gurometer, where they have like a few different categories that they'll rate different people they cover on. I don't want to get too much into it because they're going to explain it during this, but I just thought it might be kind of fun to compare and contrast what we do, which is like kind of completely off the fucking leash with what they do as two academics covering the greatest minds the world has to offer, as they call it. So, yeah, I just thought it'd be fun to do this. This is from December of 2020, so this is a few years old. And I don't know how this is going to go, but I figured if we're going to make a change of pace, I figured this is about as big a change of pace as we could ever fucking make around here. So here, without any further ado, this is Calibrating the Gurometer from Chris and Matt of Decoding the Gurus.
On this computer.
We are recording.
We are. Good morning, Matt.
Good morning. So, would you like to tell me why you've called this very special meeting?
At this very reasonable hour of the day. Yes, because I thought that the thing you really want to do before you go to sleep is to spend like, I don't know, we always say like 30 minutes, but it never ends up like that, discussing the way the Gurometer and the various measurements that we might want to use to calibrate such a device that doesn't exist as of yet.
Yes. So
yeah, that was explained with my usual,
Oh, and everybody, you get to decide which one is Dave and which one is HK. You can play a little game during this.
For clarity. I think I pitched it to you as calibrating the Gurometer. So I have to
Calibrating the
wedge in
gurometer.
all those terms.
Yeah. Sometimes I think you're gaslighting me with your explanations. Like all the words make sense, but it's like, was that supposed?
You haven't seen my academic presentations. I'm like just gaslighting the entire audience all the time.
They're like, was I meant to understand that? Yeah. Okay. Well, okay. First question for you. For what you said, it's kind of, I get the feeling that you're thinking it's going to be like multidimensional with different things. No.
No.
Okay.
I like it because so this is the useful chat. And by the way, cheers, Matt.
Is.
Oh, they're drinking alcohol too. Look at that. They are us.
So like the way I see it, there's a ton of ways that we could go, but
We don't use a
if we
fake
wanted to be
backdrop though. This
serious
is all
about
real.
it, we
That's
would have
where I
to,
work.
Do a whole bunch of stuff that I don't want to do.
Well, this is where I work too. It's just zoomed in, and all you can see is the small part of the wall. The whole rest of this, there's snakes actually.
I want to keep it relatively light and not make it a chore. And then for that, I think the easiest thing is that it's unidimensional, that all of the scores are pointing in the same direction, and that we basically, you and I can just independently.
The snakes weren't your idea, right? They were a gift from a viewer.
Each episode. And then at the end, maybe we can discuss, right? And we don't have to go through each thing, just where we differ, significantly might be interesting. But one of the things I thought about that as well, and by the way, if any of this you can just, disagree with, it's just my idea.
Yes, go ahead.
Nothing is set in stone, is that, so like we talked about on the ContraPoints episode, there's an issue about whether scoring high on it is a bad thing or a neutral thing, right? And because like we said, we're not saying in the episode that we don't want to say that being a guru is necessarily bad. But if
that's a place where we differ from them, HK. You and I pretty much generally agree that being a guru is not a good thing, right?
Yes, depending on what you mean by that. Being like a public intellectual, like the kind that we cover, is absolutely bad. Yeah.
Yeah. Even if it's people we agree with, like the sort of guru-y part of it, because we'll use their language, right? The guru-ish part of it, even if it's people we like, we're like, oh, I wish you wouldn't do that shit. Like,
Gurometer, such that a high score in it makes you a bad guru, then that implies. So, but I kind of think that's the easier way to do it, because things like galaxy brained takes, right? If we make a score for that, or we make a score for like profiteering, grifting, like these will all lead to like high scores, high negative scores, and I don't really see a way to do it where we have like positive and negative attributes equally leading to a score, because that wouldn't really make sense.
Yeah, but I'm confused because you said before that you just wanted to have like one score. It'd be really, really simple, but you're sort of hinting at there being different things.
But
grifter,
I mean,
grifter.
So I thought you were talking about the like factors in it, and I'm thinking of a score of some on like between 5 to 10, whatever is a reasonable amount of like things for us to decide are important.
Is it really the right approach to try and like quantize someone's like guru-ness?
well, that's what I'm saying is this is why this was kind of, once they kind of get into like the meat of it and what they're talking about, I think this is going to be kind of fun, because we're going to be able to compare and contrast what we're doing with what they're doing, even though, I mean, I listen to their podcast. Their podcast is pretty good. That's why I think it's going to be interesting, because these two are like academics, right? They mentioned galaxy brainness, and they would score high on the galaxy brainness. You know what I'm saying? Just because of what they do. So it's just like a different approach. That's why I thought it would be fun to go over this. And maybe I'm wrong. Maybe this will be our worst episode of this show. Who knows?
Number, right? But they all just add up collectively. So if you get 5, 5, 5, 5, 5, then the kind of Yeah, there's a top score that you can get, and that would make you like that might make you like Scott Adams or that's
Oh, we should explain like my earlier comment about like the kind of people who are like gurus that we cover. Yeah, that is a bad thing. What I meant was like there's a different kind of like someone called a guru that I think is a good thing, and it's just someone with a lot of expertise in a field who tries to teach that expertise to other people. So like you might, if you're like really good at like C code, like coding in C, and you like make a lot of videos online about how to code in C, like people might call you like a C guru. And that's a good guru as opposed to like the clean your room before you criticize society kind of guru. That's a shitty guru.
And I think I don't think that in their case they're talking about people with specific expertise like a network security guru or whatever. I don't think they're talking about it in that way. I think they're almost exclusively talking about it in the way that you and I discuss it on this show. They're just they're definitely doing trying to do an academia on it, which I think is kind of funny and it's sort of interesting, just because we are certainly not trying to do that in any sort of way. We are trying to hurl insults, make jokes, and impugn everyone's character as much as possible around here.
So, what do you think? Don't put your psychometrician hat on, because we don't want to make it work.
No, I'm not. No. So I guess my concern is. Okay. No, I guess that's all right.
I also wouldn't let you sit and think for that long.
Probably with it being I'm sure we can come
especially if you're talking about your thought process, but you're not relaying it.
Interesting things to, to what degree are they giving you sort of rules for life and, or like, but it's kind of hard to choose because
I just mentioned the 12 rules for life
now, and there's a lot of them, and I don't think we want to do all of them. Like in some ways, like for the point of view of that sort of research paper type stuff that you were thinking of, I think it's probably more pragmatic to just go for a kind of a coding thing where it's like present or not present sort of thing. Does this person do this kind of thing or not?
It's you and your binary measures.
Oh yeah. No. I'm thinking quality. I'm embracing qualitative coding here.
Qualitative binary.
that's what to my mind that's what qualitative is. It's basically just binary things.
How dare you, Matt? How dare you? That's
that's what it is. It's like is a Chris a member of the IRA or isn't he? It's binary.
There's shades of grey, Matt. There's shades of grey in that question.
Is there? You can be an affiliate, a friend, have your provisional membership. Anyway.
Provisional IRA.
Oh yeah, provisional IRA. So okay.
So I had the same thought that like if we tried to do it properly, it would be like a long thing. I would imagine at least kind of 10, but that might be a pain. Though it might not be if it's just a matter of 1 to 5ing people on like 10 metrics. That doesn't take that much time.
The idea, but what I like is I like the sound of, and again, just hear me out and see whether this might work. But like imagine like you could have 10, or we could even add to it, as we wanted to. But it's just kind of like a tick and flick thing. Like, do they do this kind of thing or don't they? Right? But then what? But essentially,
fun fact: that's how you diagnose ADHD.
Because it's kind of it is kind of qualitative. Like they don't necessarily add up to make you a guru. Like I think in the end I think we'd be better off just giving people a score just on our gut instinct of how how bad or good that person is. You know, that's what I'd like.
Yeah, he wants to be
I
on
like
this
how
show.
he's basically talking about like clinically diagnosing someone as a guru.
Yeah, that's why this is so interesting, right? Because every once in a while I'll be like, HK, did you learn anything today? And they're trying to almost make like a clinical or like an academic approach to that, which is pretty funny. And to be fair, like this went out to their patrons. This didn't go out on the main podcast feed. So they were kind of chatting about this Gurometer that they sort of put together sort of ad hoc at the beginning of their podcast, like to do something for their patrons. So this is, they're not doing this as a broadcast per se here.
Okay.
So I can see the logic to what you're saying, but my thought is it depends on what the factors are you pick, right? Because, like, for example, if we had the diversity of subjects tackled or something, right? Like the thing that I would consider like Galaxy Brain, right? Hot takes on lots of different subjects, or are you a specialist in one thing and that's what you mainly talk about? So if we took like the diverse coverage as a high score, like say a 5, right? A 1 to 5 scale, then you had, monetization and like level of profiteering, or from, are you selling supplements and that kind of thing, and
T-shirts, mugs. Fuck.
Like 1 to 5, right? Again, so you've got that, and then you have like okay.
I mean, we all got to make money, right?
That's ones, but I'm just
a consequence of living under capitalism.
Yeah, but I guess like, and that's probably what they're kind of talking around here is like, is there a difference between monetizing your content and then grifting and taking advantage of your audience? Do you know what I'm like?
Yeah, I would say there is. Like, monetizing your content is just, to me, that's like, hey, if you like my content, you can support me by buying these things. Whereas a grift is more like, you need to buy this because if you don't, bad things will happen. And usually bad things are like, you need to buy this because the left is coming to eat your baby.
Right. And the primary
buy this baby protector.
Like the most obvious example here would be Alex Jones, where he's like, you need to fight the New World Order by buying the fucking iodine pills.
Yep. Yeah, like that's full on grift.
Right.
No one needs those pills at all. And he's not saying buy these to support me. He's saying like buy these or the world will be destroyed or whatever.
Right.
Like he says some fucking crazy things.
Right. Oh no.
To try and get you to buy those.
Oh no. I was listening to an episode of another podcast today about some of the shit he was saying. Oh man. Great. Everybody make sure you're following the Knowledge Fight podcast, but you're already following the Knowledge Fight podcast if you watch my channel.
Like level of self-aggrandizement, right? Like 1 to 5, or level of conspiracy mongering, 1 to 5, so on. If you had those kind of measures, right, and you had like 5, 5, 5.
Wait, we should just steal this from them.
The Gurometer?
Yeah, we should just steal it from them. It sounds like they're going to do all the work for us.
I mean, if we ask them, they'd probably be okay with us using it. I don't think theft needs to be involved.
And you had somebody that was like Eric Weinstein or something like that. I think they would score.
Oh, he would only get a 2 out of 5 on the self-aggrandizement scale, obviously. Actually, a -2. He is the world's most humblest man.
Points.
Yeah, he's so humble. Whatever the highest score is, he'd get the inverse of that.
That's right.
The
negative value of that times -1.
Low on those measures, and that to me would capture something meaningful. But I can also say that like it makes sense to have like a tick box, like do they sell supplements? Yes, no, right? Because like I think that's an interesting thing.
But you could do both, and you could weigh them differently. I mean,
Costco sells supplements.
If these guys really wanted to get into the weeds, they could have a 1 to 5 scale for certain things, and then tick boxes, which were either 0 or 5 points, whether or not you tick the box. I mean, they get really kind kind of granular into this.
Like, I don't think it's necessarily the supplements. Like, there are people that sell things just as useless as supplements. I think the thing is, like, do you focus on, like, with the products that you're selling, do you focus on, like, buy these to improve your life, or buy these to keep bad things from happening to you? Whereas, if you're just slapping your logo on a shirt and telling people buy this if you want to help promote us, like, the shirt's not going to improve your life, and you're not saying the shirt's going to improve your life.
I don't know. Have you ever had a really good shirt?
It's very obvious that, like, you're buying the shirt just because you enjoy the content, so you want to have a shirt with that logo on it. Whereas with the supplements, a lot of times they'll make some really fucking crazy ass claims with the supplements. Like, take these and you'll have telekinesis, brain force.
Haven't you ever had a really good shirt though?
It does improve your life. You're right. I'm sorry.
Because I think in a qualitative way, like, if someone is selling herbal supplements or brain enhancers, it actually is a kind of very straightforward acid test for their level of, like, I don't know.
Here's a good question though. What about vagina eggs?
Like, all of the people that we know that are the
like, if you're selling those, is that, like, equal to supplements, or is that even worse than supplements? Because not only do you not need to put an egg in your vagina, you shouldn't put an egg in your vagina.
She did stop selling.
Especially not a jade egg, because jade is porous. You shouldn't have porous things in your vagina.
Once this was pointed out to Gwyneth Paltrow, but only after she probably made, tens of thousands of dollars on it, she pulled the product.
No.
Are like the lesser responsible, more guru-tastic people. So, So yeah, I don't know. That's my.
Do you think Gwyneth Paltrow is a guru? I think she is. I think she would qualify.
Yes, yeah. Of course, she has all the attributes. The problem, and I've thought about covering her. She doesn't take a lot of interviews or do, like, enough content that's long enough form for us to really dig into it. And I think that
we could just watch Iron Man movies.
and I think that I don't think that Chris and Matt have covered her either. I could be mistaken because I haven't listened to everything they've ever done, but I think they probably ran into much the same problem I did, where if she does take interviews, it's not really about, like, her health and wellness stuff. She, like, just kind of, it's like more like very generic sort of feel good, like faux feminism almost. So it's not like Alex Jones or Tim Pool or whatever. It's different.
Yeah, I know what you mean. It would be hard to cover her I guess products, because there's not really a whole lot of, like, content around it. So
funny on the podcast, or it could be, interesting to have a thing where we have a guru who hits the top score, right? And somebody who gets a low score. Like, that might be interesting. I guess your version, though, doesn't prevent that from happening, but it makes it more gestalt view.
Yeah, it would. So, I mean, what's the goal here? I mean, if the goal's to generate material for use in a paper, then we're going to need more, like, the two of us giving ratings isn't going to help.
See, isn't that easy? Because if we have our ratings, right, like, we have an Excel document that has our ratings, and it's so easy to source additional readers.
Hey Dave, I got another interesting question for you.
Is it related to what we're watching?
Yeah. Okay. What about, like, so the Quivering owns a coffee company, coffee brand coffee, and he promotes that through his content. So would that fall under the same category as, like, selling supplements?
Right.
Because he is doing it to supplement his own income, like his.
That's not what selling supplements is.
No.
Maybe a better
I
way
was
to
using the word in a different context,
but
different meaning of the word.
maybe a better way to ask the question versus supplements is: are you selling like these any white label products that are available to basically anyone, slapping your logo on them, calling your own, and telling people that they're going to get benefit from it? Because he's not having his own coffee brewed, and Alex Jones isn't having the supplements made. Do you know what I'm saying? They're just taking like white label products that are available, I don't know, on like AliExpress or wherever you would buy such a thing.
He claims
slapping
that
their
he
logo
roasts
on
his own coffee.
They may not even be the ones slapping their own logo on it. It may be like fucking print on demand. Do you know what I'm saying?
Possibly, yeah.
So maybe a better question would be: are you selling white label products with your logo on them versus?
Okay, yeah.
But that would be different than like merch that is specifically to promote your brand, right? Because these are products that you're going to use. Yeah, you use a beanie, right? But not in the same way that you use coffee or you would use a supplement.
Yeah, I guess it's more like the purpose, like why are you selling it? Like if you're selling that content and telling your users, not users, customers, telling the people who are watching you, if you're telling them like you can support me and my efforts by buying this one thing from me instead of like the grocery store, then yeah, I think that is where you cross the line into like guruism.
or grifting specifically.
Yeah.
Or maybe when you claim that this coffee is like the best fucking coffee in the world or whatever, when you're just it's just some coffee roaster that allows you to white label their product that's being sold by other people.
Yeah, maybe it is the best coffee in the world, but you didn't make it.
You have nothing to do with its production, actually.
Yep.
You just hire people, or you get RAs or whatever. So our proof of concept thing could just be, it doesn't even, like, if we actually made a paper or something out of it, it wouldn't necessarily require our ratings could just mainly be for entertainment and our own, like, I'm quite curious to see if you and I agree independently, like when we're doing things, or if we, you end up saying somebody is like a complete grifter, and I'm like, no, this guy's, yeah, what's the problem? Like, where would you, on a scale of 1 to 5, where would you put Jordan Peterson on a like grifting monetization scale?
Oh,
with 5 being like monetize everything, sell his like spit in a bag.
Jordan Peterson bathwater.
Oh God, I bet that shit smell crazy. But they're getting into something. They're sort of getting into what we were talking about, right? Just monetizing. Yeah. If he's and he doesn't use Patreon anymore or whatever. But at the time when he was making a lot of money on Patreon, I'm not sure that's as grifty as Alex Jones selling the super male vitality.
That does not seem to me like a grift. And even like the coffee brand coffee thing doesn't really seem like a grift, because it's not like he's saying, this coffee will improve your life. Or if you don't drink this coffee, you're going to get like your coffee gland is going to die. He's just selling coffee.
But also to be fair, also real quick, I think the comparison of Jordan Peterson to the quartering is not even good, because I don't think the quartering would even, like, for the purpose of their content, I don't think the quartering would ever be a guru.
I think he thinks he is.
Right, but I mean that's step 1, I suppose.
But yeah, for Alex Jones, it's definitely like a grift, because he'll say things like, if you don't take, super male vitality or whatever, you're going to be less of a man. You're going to, if you do take this, it'll improve your life, and you'll have, you'll perform better in bed. And if you take brain force, your brain will grow 3 sizes, and your skull won't even be able to contain it, and your skull will just explode, and your brain will get so massively huge.
Here's a tricky one actually, because
which is actually called encephalopathy, I think.
Because I think you have to know about his background and his trajectory. Like at first I somewhat naively thought he had notoriety thrust upon him. Yeah. But then, I think there's probably evidence that he kind of sorted out for that. But even that, it depends on a bit of hypothesizing or a bit of mind reading. You know what I mean? Like you're making a few assumptions, but you'd probably, so you probably know more context, but just on the basis of those. See, that's a hard one because, I mean, okay, so here's the thing. Like, we've been. This is opening a can of worms.
You're the academic.
Yes, this is opening a can of worms because I can answer that question, but I could answer it based on the content we heard. Yeah, which is that's the approach we've taken. Sure, we did a bit of other reading, whatever, but essentially we're judging, and I feel really comfortable with that. But because my knowledge of the rest is very fuzzy, I have a sense and so on. So but based on the content we heard, like that's probably not true of any of them because you don't necessarily they may not spruik their Patreon or their their thing in that particular thing. So that's an example of. So this is a good one. This is a good example of how it can create problems.
So it would cause. I think it would cause problems if we were trying to we were trying to argue for an authoritative coding, but if we were saying this is my impression, and then I said, so like. Based on your impression, even if it's just from the episode and you don't know anything else, where would you put Jordan Peterson if I forced you to put a number?
As a grifter, as someone who's trying to make money out of low, like maybe 1 or 2.
So see, I would
disagree. I think that higher, Jordan Peterson is a grifter, but in a different way. Like he's a grifter in that like he will say something just because it will please his audience, something that he doesn't really believe in.
But wouldn't that be like a different category?
Yeah.
Than the because what they're trying to, and I like respect what they're trying to do here. They're trying to like say, okay, well, if we're gonna use grifter as a category in this, we have to like figure out what the fuck that means. And it can't just be vibes.
Yeah.
I mean, for us, it can just be vibes, right? Because we have no pretense of like being academics and there's no, right? If purely vibe-based content around here, no problem there.
Yep. If you're giving off the grifter vibe, we'll call you a grifter. But yeah, as far as like Jordan Peterson, I think that if you are willing to say something that you don't really believe in to gain either popularity or gain monetary advantage, to gain something, like that's an attribute of like a con man, right?
Right.
And a grifter is a kind of con man.
Yeah, but I don't know. We'll have to see what their other categories might be. Because if there's another category that covers it, maybe in their shoes, I would want to more narrowly define grifter. In our shoes, we can just do it vibes based. This whole thing is vibes based.
Like as you say, because of all her knowledge, like I know he monetizes a personality test, right? Based on the Big Five, and I know that he put his name to a business school course, which was like...
Oh, yeah, that shit's all grifty. Having first of all, personality test, does that remind you of anything, HK?
You mean like an IQ test?
No, a personality test.
What do you mean?
Scientology.
Oh. Yeah. Yep.
Like if we were going to do something like this, we would be like similarity to Scientology would be one of our factors, I think.
Yep.
Apparently,
right.
he designed the syllabus and stuff off, but it was basically just rebranding a business school course, and I don't know a bunch of other things, but people have suggested to me that like he did a lot of weird advocacy for fossil fuels industry or something. Apparently, I don't know. Like I don't know if that's true, but it's kind of in my background knowledge. So for me, it would push him up to like a 3 or 4 because he could monetize much more, right? He could be selling like Jordan Peterson branded hot pants or lobster sauce.
But I'm very uncomfortable with the whole grifting category.
Do we sell Ecoplex branded hot pants?
I mean, like take the Obamas, yeah. Are they?
We'd have to.
Are they?
We'd have
grifters?
to like ask the people in our audience who might wear hot pants if they feel like that's exploitative.
Do you know?
We should.
Well, yeah. So I agree. I think this is why it would be a good thing to discuss, like what's important to include, because I kind of think monetizing your content is, man, when you blew out there, like the smoke has all stayed around the camera. You look like the guy from the X-Files. But the
chucking clouds. That's the technical term for it. Chucking clouds.
That's it.
Yeah.
Well, monetizing your content is something that like people judge very harshly on the opposing ideological side, but they don't do the same when it comes to like people they agree with, right? And there's a double standard there, which I recognize as well. But on the other hand, I do think there's something within the sphere of gurus about people branding themselves and then using that to, like JP Sears, for example, is a really good example, because his content is super heavily branded with these like supplements, right? Which also tie in to his kind of like the whole package that he's offering. And like you talked about in the episode, he's very much aware that he's building a brand, right? That he wants to market and which he uses the money. And so I think that in the case of JP Sears, I'd put him like really high. And when I think of like someone like Douglas Murray, for example, I don't get that same impression, right? I get a journalist who, yes, cashes in on things and, you know, sells books and so on.
So it is vibes based. So we're right. What they're saying is we're right on, like, I just get this vibe.
Yep.
I don't really imagine
it is ineffable
shilling supplements, or
but then
also most of them are ineffable also.
But then how do you do this in a way that is academically rigorous, which is what I think they're sort of trying to, like, not maybe necessarily that would get into a peer-reviewed paper, but that is like somewhat rigorous, which is what I'm getting, like, at least from Chris. Matt here on the left just wants to vape and drink his scotch, I think, which I appreciate. Which I appreciate. I also appreciate that they started with good morning and one of them's drinking a beer and the other one's drinking a glass of scotch.
Kind of thing. It's so, to me, that takes him down a little bit from that world. Whereas, like, a last example of someone in the middle is kind of Eric Weinstein, right? Because he, from his background, it almost seems like he doesn't need to shill supplements and stuff, and yet he does.
Oh no, he didn't. He could fucking make all four of us upper middle class with the fucking snap of a finger and 4 checks.
With aplomb, and like, you know, he records his own playing his ukulele like stuff for, and I'm waxing lyrical about mushroom like the pills or whatever, mushroom soup. So yeah.
So does he actually sell supplements? Does he?
Oh yeah, his podcast is, not only does he sell supplements, he, you know, like all podcasters are. Not
Wait, Eric Weinstein sells supplements?
They're asked to kind of personalize their ad reads. Like they give these little stories about them using the products or whatever. Eric is like so far into that he records his own like songs to promote like his own ditties. I think he said on a couple ads that the company was like saying they don't want them to do that, or they didn't ask them to do it. But you know,
This sounds very true.
yeah, and then there was an episode where he mentioned that by not putting out content, he was taking a significant hit on his finances. And I was kind of like taken aback because I was thinking, I thought this was just like a side hustle, you know, like he has a job with Peter Thiel and stuff. Why would he be using this as like a strong source of income? That's the way he presented it in that episode. But yeah, so anyway, that's, insider guru baseball, but it made me think that we just see a lot of people shilling supplements and herbal pills and brain force.
Oh, they haven't even mentioned gold.
Joe Rogan
on the debate tonight, one of the very first ad on the Republican debate was for gold.
There definitely seems to be something about the at least willingness to shill supplements. But that kind of fits your thing about, tick box, yes, no, but
yeah. I mean, they either do or they don't really with that one, with the supplements. And, with respect to monetization and stuff, yeah, it's just, I guess I can imagine a lot of the time gurus are doing this in the long game, a bit like Google or whatever would be providing a search engine and losing money on it, like a lot of these companies, for a long time, because really what they're about is building up the brand, and they're going to cash in at some later date. So it's a tricky one, that one. But
it is because people would say like Jesse Single, for example, as somebody that probably we wouldn't class, within the guru realm, Is he grifting because he has like the super successful podcast? Like he built up an audience and then he monetized it, right? And that to me doesn't seem illegitimate.
Yeah, I don't know. I totally agree. That's not grifting. Building up an audience and then getting them to give you money for your content is not grifting.
Correct.
There's a way you could do it that's hella grifty, but that's again vibes based.
Yep,
it's all vibes based.
But there are people within the guru sphere who have done the exact same thing.
Yeah,
built up an audience and then cashed in.
So that's why I have a problem with the grifting thing. Like I get it, but it's just very hard to define what's just normal monetization of someone who makes their living from doing it.
Yeah, it's ContraPoint's grifting because, I would put her very low on that because she doesn't seem to sell anything, but obviously the money comes from the YouTube videos and that stuff. So
that's a tough one, but that's probably the hardest one in a way. Like I guess
it's basically an evolution of literally every other
go along
media model,
right? It's either
you create content. Sorry,
you're either ad supported or listener supported, right?
Yeah. Like you create content that people want to listen to, and then you have two options. Either it's paid for by viewers like you, or it's paid for by gold and supplement companies.
Along with your
and VPNs
idea.
We can you look so sad about it.
Raid Shadow Legend.
The idea of giving scores to the different.
Well, the way this is how
not a sponsor, by the way.
Up in academic meetings when we decide on something or somebody gives in a thing is like, why don't we try it? And if it's if it doesn't work, then we just switch. Like there's nobody holding our feet to the fire saying like, oh, but you said you would do it this way, right? Like we can play around. So we can even say like, hey, we're doing A/B testing, right? Like the binary model and the 1 to 5.
HK, if we ever have a production meeting about the intellectual Dollar Tree, what we're learning here is that we should not publish it. I like these guys, but this is
Yes.
This is
We
quite
don't call him
tedious.
Chris versus Matt.
No. Okay, so looking at that document of ours, I think it's a pretty good basis for our list of features.
Gurometer.
Do we want to decide?
I'm making a little document here, which I will
Okay.
share with you.
Yes,
I will be
okay.
the secretary for
The secretary. Okay, good.
Yeah,
I'll be
or-
the ideas. I'll be the ideas man.
Yeah, just throw it out there, Matt. Just
Yeah,
brainstorm. Just don't worry about it. Go crazy.
This is a safe space for anything.
Anything. Throw it all.
Okay, let's write the one how good looking, hot or not. How about that?
Hot or not? Why not? Let's put that. Chili.
Let's do that.
I mean, they may be joking around about that, but there may be something to that. Like, is if someone's like good looking or considered to be good looking, are they leveraging that to monetize their content? I mean, I clearly am. This channel's a fucking thirst trap. But like, there may be a way in which you could do that, but you'd have to get like highly specific, and you'd have to have to be real careful. Like, I know that this was just off the cuff, and they're not seriously suggesting that. And if you were to do that, you'd have to be pretty careful to not appear to be slut shaming anybody or anything like that when you were.
Yeah.
So I think that would be, if we were to do something like this, we might talk about it, but that would end up being off the table, just because I don't think that we would be able to do that in a careful enough way.
Yeah, I love, okay.
That actually, that makes me feel amused, because there used to be this Rate My Professor website. I think it still exists, but they had a like hot or not thing on it, and I think they eventually were forced to remove it, because I think because of people kind of socially justicey people taking issue. I don't mean this in a disparaging way. I mean, I think there was a campaign to say this isn't a good metric to use, but I kind of was like, oh, because I used to find it I'm not on it. I'm not a professor in the US, but I did used to find it funny to look up people I know and be like, are they hot? Are they rated hot by students? And
their students think they're hot. Yeah. I know. It's
A guy on the left would get a lot of yes.
He's hot. Why is he not got a thing? But the bar to be rated.
They're talking about Rate My Professor?
Yeah, they are.
So
okay,
well, didn't get it.
I'm a little lost here.
Okay, all right. Okay, so item number one. First thing. I'm just going to watch through this list, and we're going.
You can tell these are academics because they're 25 minutes 22 seconds, and they're either like, okay, now item one.
It down, but first one is this guru polymath type thing, where they present themselves as special genius with unique insights across a wide range of fields, wide range of areas. That's a key guru-esque.
We need a thing, a catchy phrase for it, but we can come up with those later. But especially because polymath sounds too nice for.
That's Galaxy Brain.
Yep. I am an expert in exactly one field, and based on how much work it takes just to be an expert in that one field, literally no one is an expert in hundreds of fields. But yeah, all these guys pretend to be experts in hundreds or even thousands of fields,
or just anything that comes up, really.
Yep.
That is it's kind of being a hot take machine across disciplines you have no expertise in.
yeah, that's right. We need amusing and memorable.
This one is too disparaging, but I can think of Walter Mitty since Walter Mitty, right? That is a famous story. Okay, that's all right. Yeah. Your reaction tells me that's not a good one.
No.
Yeah. Galaxy Brain, isn't it? Galaxy Brain. That's
exactly what Galaxy Brain means.
Yeah, I think it is basically galaxy brainness. Yeah, it's the.
And that's, I think, how we use it, right?
You're not the galaxy brain guru.
Yeah.
You're a guru. You can be.
It's usually when somebody has a dumb take on something that you know they know nothing about. You don't necessarily need to know the answer to, but you don't need to know what the yes is to spot a no.
Yep.
You cannot be a galaxy brain guru.
Yeah, like if you're someone like, so he's just like has expertise and is smart, but in a particular area, I don't know. Like say Stuart Ritchie, say he posts very smart stuff, but it's like within his realm of expertise.
Yeah, he doesn't.
Yeah, he doesn't sort of just what's really going on with COVID is this.
Oh, fuck that.
He just
Who are
doesn't
you
do
talking
that.
about, Matt?
Yeah. Just
What
use your
figure are you
imagination.
referencing?
Yeah.
But yeah,
I know. I like it. Galaxy brainness. That's,
yeah. Okay.
Let's lock that in. Lock that in.
Locked.
Put it in the bank.
I've put it down in this high-tech document. It's locked in. Can't be edited now, Matt. That's
No.
how it works.
No. Okay, so the next one on this list is that in-group, out-group thing, which is about how they sort of... Yeah.
But I think that's important.
Oh, that one's really easy. It's cult dynamics.
Well, what do you mean by that?
Like they're going to talk about in-group, out-group mentality, right? And it's like how remember when we watched that David Miscavige interview and we were able to spot a lot of the rhetorical tricks he was using that we had noticed other basically intellectual dark web people using, and a lot of it was that kind of you're all against us, everybody. It's the in-group. It's definitely like cult mentality.
Too.
The nefarious
and I think
they.
we could call it cultishness.
Oh shit.
That's a harsh one, but again,
Well,
like
yeah.
by the way, can you say the word that means when you are very polemically, like when you have two sides and people are, very harsh about one side but not the other side? What do you call that? There's a terrible way to get you to try to say a word. I want to hear you say without me pronouncing it.
Oh, okay. Maybe
Like
just
in
spell
the
it or
current
something.
era, P-ship is very high.
Not polarization. No, partisanship.
Oh,
Partisanship.
okay. Yeah, that's it. No, you didn't do that because you on the most recent episode. You said like partisan in a very specific
Partisan.
way. And I
Very
wondered if it
Australian,
was, like,
yeah.
Just because like in the episode, I also say something
Parmesan ship
or like wrong, but you said partisan in a like.
That's
like
when
partisan.
two cheeses can't agree on anything.
Yeah, I remember that. No, that was.
Does Matt say partisan?
No,
ship?
that's not how I normally talk. No. Partisan.
Yo, guys, you already got it. It's fucking
like
cultishness.
Partisan. It's like that.
when you said it, it made me
Like being
when
partisan
somebody
is not
talks
the
about it,
same
I make me
thing
think,
as being
saying that wrong.
cultish.
The whole time, no.
Right.
Because that happens to me with I forget what it is now, but there's a word that people use all the time, and I've seen it on BBC, and I think the pronunciation has just shifted, but it hasn't for me. And like I can't remember what it is now, but it's a word that you would use as well, and I don't know where the memo was that the proper pronunciation shifted, but I didn't get it. So I thought this was a similar situation. So after I heard it, I was like, haha, Matt got that wrong. And then, did he?
Yeah, I could just be ahead of the game. I could have kicked off something, It could be the beginning of a new trend.
Cultishness.
Cultishness. I think I'm okay with that because I like it. It captures the behavior. It's the behavior of the leader, and the way they manage their flock and keep them in line.
Did they just get really quiet?
It's cultishness.
Yeah, no, not everyone is me.
Okay.
In group out group dynamics. So it's not partisanship.
It could be partisan. You could say partisan if he's very partisan. partisan.
Yeah, you can say partisan, but you say
like that's
partisanship.
Yeah, like I'm legitimately telling the truth that when I listened back, I was like, I mean, it's one of those things of registering. Like I've done it many times in episodes as well, by the way, where like I have either cut words out that were necessary for the sentence that are just not there, and like I don't know if I edited them out or I didn't say them. But yeah, it's always surprising to me to listen back and find.
It's just like you can say pecan pie,
and usually,
but it's pecan ship.
You or me kindly cut out the searching for how to pronounce a word, but yeah. Anyway, I'm sorry for making it silly, but cultishness. The reason I'm hesitant with cultishness is because it implies a bunch of other things as well. Like it kind of primarily it implies that you're setting up a cult.
We have terms like cult of personality where we don't necessarily mean that there's a high control group happening. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah. I still agree with them though that like it's not. Cultishness is not the best term, I think, for this because they're talking specifically about like in-group, out-group, like strict lines between them, and like you dissociate from. Is that the right word? You don't affiliate yourself with the out-group. Like you try and keep away from them, right? Is that what they're talking about?
I guess you could call it like. No, my only rubric for this is like Scientology too. So I'd be like disconnection because that's sort of what Scientology calls it, right? They're like, you don't associate with these people, you disconnect from them. But then that's like, it's too far down a different rabbit hole. Like some kind of, somebody in chat said like internalized gatekeeping, but that's not like, not very catchy.
Yeah. Kind of like how a lot of people on like the right wing and the left wing too will not have someone that disagrees with them on their show, but they'll talk about someone that disagrees with them all the time.
Yeah, that's a and I think that's I mean, I think of that as being kind of culty, but
yeah, presenting someone as the other.
Yeah. And I think maybe just calling it what they called it at the beginning, just in-group, out-group. How hard do they lean on that would just be, it's not catchy, but it describes it exactly.
Yeah.
Implication it would give to me, right? Like, is Scott Adams cult? He is high on like this, but is he setting up a cult? Or is
Scott Adams is the Dilbert guy, right?
Look, I mean, the thing with coming up with any single word to describe these themes is that it's always going to be inadequate, right? It's almost always. So
the first one you nailed.
Try to think of a better one, and if you can't,
no, I get cultishness. I like, so I think with any of these, we can put like a little description after it.
Yeah,
so we can explain what we mean by it. So
we'll define our terms. Yeah, we'll define our terms.
Okay, so we'll them at least.
We don't mean literally they're going to do a Jamestown type scenario. It's meant to be evocative.
We'll put a little star and say we're not saying they're going to do an auction ritual on the yeah.
No.
We'll cover ourselves. That does it, right? Like I've seen people give disclaimers that work much less disclaimers than they seem to work. So,
Yep. These are meant to be evocative.
True.
Cultishness.
Right. Got it. It's locked in.
Yeah.
Can't be edited.
Okay.
Sorry, Matt.
Okay. All right. Oh, gee, there's so many good ones. So the next one is grievance and resentment.
Oh, that is a good one.
Yeah, towards the orthodoxies, towards the institutions, conventional.
I mean, you just said it, grievance and resentment. That's it. That's what you have to call it. You can't call it anything else.
Yep. Yeah. That perfectly describes so many of these guys. Like Eric Weinstein, for example.
I guess you could call it self-crucifixion.
Yeah.
But,
yeah.
But that's
or victimization.
It's I think they have to just stick with the words they just used. Though I wouldn't even change those.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I want to use grievance because of the so-called squared people. Like I feel it's honoring their legacy to
that's where to put it.
Yeah, to call it like grievance mongering.
Yeah. I'm gonna look at our list of our cast and just think about that a little bit. Because
Matt, we were very insightful.
I like that grievance mongering.
Like before we started looking at anyone, this is
it's quite astonishing, really.
It's past us. Good job, because that's a defining characteristic of like almost all the people we've covered. Right, is how much they resent their status, their position, not treated as the kind of go-to. Like in most cases, it almost seems like they're upset that the government doesn't come and ask them like what the strategy should be to deal with COVID or immigration or
because I'm right here. I've got all these great ideas and I'm right here and no one's consulting me. Don't they know who I am? And look, it's
they're
strongly related.
Definitely spot on this one.
Yeah.
Yes, that's right. But it's strongly related.
Matt? Am I?
Wait, Eric said it best.
The focus on ridicule.
Could be. I kind of am. Look,
You said that exactly like him.
I know. But look, that's strongly related, obviously, to the narcissism thing, which you before have pointed out is actually the key defining feature. Yeah, grievance. I mean,
we have to have that. Don't we have to have narcissism, like self?
Well, yeah. We may.
I would leave narcissism out of it and use things that I could more accurately like diagnose, which would be self-aggrandizement and grievance mongering. Right. I can't diagnose narcissism. I would leave that out.
That's actually like a clinical term.
Yeah, I would.
Yep.
We may, and you've probably caught, you could probably be like, oh yeah, Dave, well, here's fucking 14 different clips where you called somebody a narcissist. Well, we're not as cautious as decoding the gurus.
But we might need to consider whether we combine it with the grievance, because it's almost a.
It is like a package deal.
We have also publicly disavowed everything that we've ever said on this show.
Like you could be an absolute
at least I have
narcissistic arsehole and yet not
have a grievance narrative.
Yeah, I see your point.
I guess you're right.
They're definitely like heavily correlated, but I don't think they're intrinsically correlated. Like, does Taleb have I mean, he thinks everyone else is an idiot. And
well, that's not a grievance thing at all.
I thought of Taleb too, because he's kind of a bit of an exception.
He's like high on narcissism, but is he complaining like his grievance is just like everyone else is not him?
He's an idiot. Yeah,
I mean, that's been my grievance a lot of the time too. Is that everybody else is stupid.
That are wasting his time. That's his grievance. So, but that's
it'd be really fun is if these guys then go out and do a show about us next. That'd be very fun.
Narcissism, though.
It'd be like, here, we're going to take like a fucking 3-year-old piece of your content and talk about it, asshole.
Even Hitler.
Oh God!
They say every conversation. Even Hitler. Yeah, I mean, it's.
Was he a narcissist? I mean, I don't know enough about him. I would imagine that he certainly had a high self-image. Like, and he definitely I would score him high on grievances. He had a couple of those.
He had a few.
It seemed. I mean, like, I guess anybody that's like the leader of a fascistic movement and sets themselves up as the supreme leader probably has to have an element of narcissism.
Yes. Maybe.
Not the benevolent fascist.
I like keeping them separate because I could imagine I
think you're right. We'll keep them separate. Like Russell Brand, for instance, is pretty narcissistic, but he doesn't really have
grievance. Like, he doesn't like.
Oh, Russell Brand's going to be another one that's going to be kind of hard for us to cover, I think, when we get to that
system. But
Oh
it's
God,
much
I've
more
watched his
narrative.
content. It's so bad.
Like he complains about this. I mean, they all complain about the system. That's the thing. But I think the level of grievance is different. Like I would not put Russell Brand at the same level of grievance as Eric Weinstein.
Yeah.
Like Eric Weinstein is. It's like
so. I think you're
Eric
right,
Weinstein
because
is consumed by
thing is very much
grievance.
a personal narrative. You know, it's that they have been wronged. They've been wronged by these,
and by extension, society.
yes. Okay. All right. Okay. Where were we?
Okay, so I've got galaxy brain, cultishness, grievance, and narcissism.
Oh, I would leave narcissism off of it, because I think the galaxy brain, like thinking you're an expert in everything, and then the grievance, like sort of implies that without having to actually fucking call somebody a narcissist. Just from their point of view, again, from our point of view, we can call people all kind of fucking names. Like we're not, neither of us have the word professor in front of our names in any context, so we don't have any of that shit to worry about, you know.
Yep. Okay. Okay, so I'm wondering, the next one we've got here is personal claims to revolutionary world-altering theories, but I'm wondering whether that might go into with the guru
galaxy brain.
The galaxy brain.
Yeah, I think that's the same one. Yeah, he think he's right that having this personal, it goes with claiming to be an expert in a billion different things. If you're an expert in a billion different things, clearly you've got revolutionary ideas of about at least two of them.
Yeah, it kind of does, right? Because like,
you just roll that into the first one and move on, fellas.
Well, could we finesse it into like has a utopian, utopian vision? Is there anyone we've covered that doesn't have a utopian vision?
Well,
I mean, we
obviously ContraPoints. She's the one that stands out every time.
But even her, I think if you go deep enough into her material, you will approach, like a utopian-esque view.
What does he mean by has a utopian vision?
That's unclear.
I'm not sure I follow this.
I think this I've revolutionized X, Y, or Z is like more clear than has a utopian vision. Yeah, absolutely. But also I've revolutionized X, Y, or Z galaxy brain.
Yes, but not necessarily. I mean, galaxy brain doesn't imply that. That implies galaxy brain.
Right, but that's what I'm saying is I would just fold it. I'd fold this one in under the first one that they did, if I were.
Okay.
Luxury space communism, right? It's the end.
Yeah, but the gay luxury space communism is a joke, Chris. Especially when you add the dolphins for Passadism, it's a joke. And the other thing they're doing is like this, if they're going to do this little meter, right, that doesn't mean that like all of these things have to in some way apply to everyone they talk about. What if like one of these things just doesn't apply to one of the people that they're doing a decoding on? They're like, oh, we're going to go ahead and give you a 0 on this one. I think that would be fine if you were rating people on these, this group of categories.
Of capitalist monopolies and I don't know.
That's just common sense, Chris. That's just clear thinking. I don't know.
Yeah. And, by the way, I wanted to spring this on you in the next episode, but I can't resist. One of the reviews we got just said, have Liam Bright on, you cowards. 5 stars though.
That's good. I like that. That's really good. So was it posted by Liam or?
It didn't seem to be, unless Liam has created, the username was bizarre. And by the way, the guy that wrote
I would not put it past him.
The person who wrote the negative review that I want to surprise you with, so I won't it's so negative. But the username was "I cough in your mouth." And the thing is, I'm pretty sure they didn't make that account, just to because it's Apple, right? You have to have that account that's your username. So
we should read some more of our negative reviews.
Well, what a character.
Yeah,
That's gonna be good. That's gonna be fun.
Maybe at F300 we'll get
they're
the
very
media one trying to do that for us.
upset at us, and they detail in exquisite detail what we get wrong. It's
good.
it's enjoyable.
Good. Oh dear. Okay, where were we? Oh, utopianism.
Are we
I don't
including
know.
that?
I'm looking at our list. I mean, someone like JP says,
He doesn't have a utopian vision.
And Jordan Peterson doesn't really either. Like Jordan Peterson's just like, well, this is life. Got to get used to it. It's always been like this.
So that to me, kind of, that's okay, because he's not necessarily like, I think he scores high in some areas, but doesn't have like a super utopian vision.
James Lindsay doesn't have a utopian vision.
Now you say that, it's kind of giving me the opposite thing, that maybe it's a dystopian vision, which is the like.
What if they made it has a utopian or dystopian vision?
Just has a star-opian vision.
Right, like that would be fine, right? Because this show, we would score very high on that has a dystopian vision. Like it literally says in my Twitter profile, dystopia beat.
The thing is to view the world as on the precipice of disaster. And that's why the guru is necessary, right? Like James Lindsay is warning of the impending doom. Scott Adams is telling people about the danger, and
if we decide to include it, you could call it the Cassandra complex.
I don't get this reference. This is hard. So
this is like the little Indians and the big Indians all over.
Yeah,
again.
which I will note that many people seem to have been like, including philosophers, were like, "What the hell's Matt smoking?"
What the hell? yeah, it's. Did you Google it? It's a thing. I didn't just make it up.
I seen you shared your paper several times. So, Cassandra. Well, who's Cassandra? Like, why have I not got this knowledge in my head? Is she? It's some mythical like figure who said the sky was falling or something like that.
Yeah, so mythical figure. So she was cursed by the gods to. I don't remember the details, but
Look at that. Your hubris has.
Hang on, just let me quickly Google that. Yeah. I'll have the right there for you. No, she was cursed. She couldn't speak or something like that. Was unable to warn people, or maybe she was able to warn people or something. But she's the one who's.
This is like,
wait, which figure was like the sky is falling? The sky is falling. Was that Chicken Little that said the sky was falling? I think it might be the Chicken Little fucking complex.
For more like intellectually advanced reference, Matt. She's like the guy from, isn't it Krull, where the Cyclops could. This is a Cyclops, by the way. It's me miming a Cyclops. They could see the future, but the only thing they could see was their own death.
Oh God, that's but that's from.
I'm not saying call it the. I'm not saying call it the Krull. I agree. The Cassandra complex.
Can I just read this out to you? Yeah. It's a psychological. It's a psychological phenomenon in which an individual's accurate prediction of a crisis is ignored or dismissed. So that reminds me what she was cursed. She was cursed to be able to see the future, be able to see what was going to happen, like like the Cyclops, but no one would believe. But the curse was that no one would believe her. You know what I mean? She could see what's happening.
Well, this one's perfect, actually.
I like it. It's perfect. And the fact that I'm completely unaware of the reference, it's like a black hole in my mind. I kind of enjoy that as well. So, like, why don't we call it the Cassandra complex?
Yeah, it was either that or Chicken Little.
That sounds good to me.
All right, put it down.
Yeah, because it's a little bit different. I want to distinguish it from the
utopian vision.
Well, it could be. It'd still work for the utopian thing because you could. Oh, are you thinking about having both of them?
No, I think we cut the utopian one because, like you say, it isn't a criteria, and actually, it's often more the warning. I think that's the more common thing. The utopian vision for the future, even like, and usually, if you take a cult leader or like a genuine guru, any utopian vision comes with a dystopian warning.
Yeah. Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So
yeah.
you can't
like if you're a Scientologist, say, right?
Fuck yeah.
You know, it's yes, you got a utopian vision, but the really
Scientology
point is that you know the world is just doomed unless we make this happen. So yeah,
and
and it's different. I just want to distinguish.
I would call it clearing the planet. Do you think you're clearing the planet?
What was the first one? What did we call it? Galaxy brainedness. Yeah, because it's not just having bright ideas. It's about how the world actually is doomed unless we, you take me seriously. Yeah.
Okay, you've made me think of something. You know, we have our tiers, like the
aspiring leader syndrome.
So I might be maybe jumping ahead, but we have conspiracy hypothesizer.
Like you think you would be the best leader, but you also don't know how to lead.
Galaxy Brain Guru, and like we didn't pull them out of nowhere. Although, like we were making them mostly for fun, but those make me think about that. Those three things we've already got Galaxy Brain covered, and we were kind of talking like, do we need revolutionary thinker? But I now thinking like just on the basis of those titles, I think conspiracy theorizing we're going to get to, which definitely has to be a separate component, but revolutionary thinker, at least on the notion of you have a revolutionary theory, seems an important criteria that isn't the same as Galaxy Brain, because Galaxy Brain can be that you have multiple takes on multiple subjects, but do you have your bespoke Nobel Prize winning idea that deserves, that has been suppressed by the system? That seems like a separate category.
That's just Brett and Eric.
Because let's say
I just call that the Brett and Eric factor.
Gurus, like Sargon of Akkad, right? He probably would score high on Galaxy Brainness, but does he have a revolutionary theory that will, revise maths or allow people to get to the stars? Like, no, right? But Brett and Eric do, and like other people, I would say like James Lindsay also has a single theory that can explain everything in the world. So that seems like a metric we might want, even though we kind of scratched it off earlier.
Yeah, but doesn't it fall under this Cassandra thing they're talking about, where they know the truth and nobody will listen to them?
Revolutionary thinker?
I would say that's
Nobel.
That's roughly the same thing.
Nobel. No. I'm bad with the names, Matt.
Yeah.
Only about 15 minutes left of this. We'll go a little long this week and just watch the whole thing here.
World shaking.
No, you already have it. It's the Cassandra thing. You already got it, guys. You already got it. It's it covers the thing you're talking about here. It's I know the shit and nobody's listening to me.
Revolutionary theory.
Look, I mean, it's kind of the same. We're getting at the same thing as what we just talked about with we sort of shifted to the Cassandra thing, which is the warning. But that's the same thing in a way. You know what I mean?
Not just it covers it.
That this thing is desperately needed.
This is probably this right here is probably why we're never going to have a production meeting.
Sargon of Akkad or someone. I'm sure he has the Cassandra complex thing. I'm sure he's warning about society collapsing. Jordan Peterson is. But does Jordan Peterson have a revolutionary theory about how to fix things?
I guess not. Yeah.
Jordan Peterson espouses Christian philosophy as a way to.
Well, it's kind of a theory, isn't
it? And does JP
does he consider it a way to better the world? I know he espouses Christian philosophy.
Yeah, I don't know, because he's the problem, and again, that's the problem with a lot of these people that we cover and that they cover, is that they never actually get to the fucking point. So you have.
he did write a book of like telling young men how to be men, as if he knows.
Offer anything. No. He's
okay.
He's just a pit of negativity. He doesn't have anything.
He has those books like losers speak or like God, I don't even. It makes me physically cringe to think about him. But
loser think, but they're very similar to Jordan Peterson's books, aren't they? Where it's a personal recipe to help you navigate this corrupt world. It's not a plan to make the world a better place.
Yeah, whereas like Rutger Bregman would score high,
but he does market
so
it as something that would apply to literally any
the utopian
like anyone within his demographic, which for Jordan Peterson is like young men. So Jordan Peterson markets it as this will help literally any young man. And I think in that way, it is kind of like this is the way to fix the world kind of thing.
Some kind of a set of revolutionary ideas, even though that none of it is new and some of it's really weird.
Vision thing, because like a revolutionary theory usually implies some utopian thing, but it doesn't have to, right? Like the Brett Weinstein's belief that he discovered a fundamental flaw in... Like that doesn't lead to a utopian future, right? Like at best, it leads to slightly better drug testing.
Yeah.
Well,
okay,
I'm thinking about stick I'm thinking about the amount of people that have alternative theories about evolution, for example.
Yeah. So that's galaxy brandedness, isn't it?
But not necessarily, because like they could be focused just on that topic, right? There could be an intelligent design guy who just focuses on evolution.
Oh, right.
And they do have some, intelligent design thing, like Michael Behe, right? Like I would put him as a guy that thinks he's a revolutionary thinker, but he doesn't have like takes on tons of, I mean, he probably does, but nobody listens to them. About tons of other topics.
Yeah. Well, I reckon, as you said, this is not carved in stone. We should get them down.
Yes.
Move on.
Sorry.
So I reckon, yes. Write it down.
We've got it for the minute.
Yep. Okay. The next one's about the style. Yeah. The pseudo profound bullshit.
Yeah, that like
Yeah.
that.
That one's self-explanatory and entirely vibes-based.
Just call it Chopraism.
Dan brought that up about the ability to speak in metaphors and to...
He did.
And that struck me as like a pretty insightful...
Literally, you can't tell the difference between like something that Deepak Chopra says and something that like Deepak Chopra bot generates.
It isn't all of them, but the people who are perhaps the most guru-ish have this like ability to really like just monologue in endless metaphors.
Yes. Yeah, it's astonishing, isn't it?
And that coincides as well with like cult leaders. Like cult leaders always have that ability.
Right.
To just go on forever and say absolutely nothing.
And a lot of it is pseudo profound bullshit.
Yep.
But so
pseudo profound.
Yeah, that one's a gimme. You don't even it's self-explanatory and completely vibes based.
Phrase like these can be titled by a short phrase. So pseudo profound bullshit.
I say name it Chopraism.
I think.
It's accurate.
Because like Deepak Chopra was the fucking master at that.
Pseudo profound bullshit. Yeah, I like that.
Yep.
Okay, we got it.
Okay, cool. Oh, So the next one's a bit okay. Let's okay. The last two are pretty easy, but this one's a bit tricky because this one is about this this courting controversy behavior.
Oh man,
yeah,
they're insightful humans we were once upon a time. That in 2020. Like that feels like a binary thing though, like because I'm kind of noting
there's like a term for someone like someone in class who's always starting drama in high school, like
are they a drama queen?
Drama queen. Yeah.
Are they a drama queen?
Yeah. Like Jordan Peterson is absolutely a drama queen.
Right. I would use is this person a drama queen?
Yep.
Like tick boxes that because there's no reason that we can't have them in, right? We can't have a mixed thing. And courting, like a trial by fire or controversy courting seems like a yes or no.
That's why you use drama queen and you can do 1 to 5.
Yeah. And the other tricky thing about it is it's often happening offline, like it's all happening via other channels. It's not necessarily in the content that we cover. So it's not sort of you know what I mean?
I can kind of also think of a text box, like, have they been cancelled? Yes or no?
Yeah. It could be anything. Yeah. Like when it comes to the tick boxes, all bets are off. You can just chuck anything in that seems fun because...
like, do they try to get canceled?
But I agree. It's kind of hard to imagine that on a okay, I'm gonna devil's advocate
because like Jordan Peterson will go out of his way to like break the TOS for like some social media site just so that he can claim that he's being canceled.
Right, and maybe drama queening isn't the best one there. I think courting controversy might be too broad because I mean, like, we do it, and to some extent the hosts of the show we're watching also do it just by the nature of what they're covering. Because they're
maybe cancel chasing,
like ambulance chasing, but it's a cancel chasing.
So like, if you take like James Lindsay now,
cancel
he's
bait.
Like courting controversy constantly.
Sitting count in the chat says cancel bait. That's good.
Basically, if you looked at this feed, you would just see, stuff, culture war stuff. But like recently, he's gone all out to just insult people and to say controversial things and to talk about controversial topics. And so it definitely seems that there's a change there, right? Like, and that there are people.
Yeah, I think that's a really good term. Cancel baiting,
and people who don't.
Yeah.
Oh dear, Matt! Like with you, I've kept you up to date.
It's a quarter past 1. I'm doing pretty well.
And you know what they say about Jordan Peterson? He's a master cancel baiter.
The last one's to let you sleep.
I feel like we're almost there. Yeah, so we'll put a pin in that one. That one can be a tag or something.
Okay.
You can mull it over. Last two are easy though, I think, because we already talked about them. Conspiracies. Endorsing conspiracy theories, pushing conspiracy theories, conspiracy mongering. Yep.
That's easy.
Yeah, easy. And that narcissism.
We've already got narcissism.
Oh, do we? Yeah.
So if we were to stop there, we would have 8.
Great. That's a good number. Yeah.
And then, so like if we put them on 1 to 5, like just that makes a score out of 40, right? Isn't that right? My maths are correct.
It's 1:15 in the morning, so I'm not sure about anything anymore. Maybe.
Yeah, I think yes.
That sounds good. Out of 5, yep, 5 stars for each.
By the way, Patreon people, just look. This is the sacrifices that Matt makes for you, and also that I force Matt to.
Oh wait, they said morning, but it's just past midnight where they're at.
Children, because
he said 1:15 or something. So they
weirded.
It would have been way more boss move if it was like 9 in the morning and they both had classes to teach at like 11 and they were like drinking beer and whiskey and shit on their fucking.
My children unhelpfully did not go to sleep until very late. So, and he's an hour ahead of me. So it's now 1:15 midnight for me, but I'm okay. But at 1:15, I might be pushing it a bit more. So
it's like Chris is like he's got 1 hour on me and about 10 years. So with those two advantages,
that's
I think
right.
so. Yeah.
Okay, but so look, this is what that $2 provides. They
have a $2 tier on Patreon. Maybe they're grifting
somehow.
I just want all the listeners, if we do release this, I'm like available like anytime. I'm super flexible. I've got very, very few commitments, but the only time that Chris is available is at god awful times. It's like before the sun comes up in the morning, or after midnight at
I'm
night,
kind of like a
when
vampire.
everyone else is sleeping.
That's like a vampire existence. I do apologize for that, but I appreciate the sacrifices you make on my behalf.
Well, this is a good a time to let this go as any. So I thought that would be interesting, and I had for a minute there I was like, I made a bad choice, but then it started to get a little more fun. It just kind of noticing like the differences in like how they're trying to do what they're doing versus what we're doing here is kind of a lot of fun, actually.
We should see if they have published that, and if they have published that, we should ask them if they're cool with us, using that.
Yeah, I mean, I would just like to since Chris has been an online friend of mine for a while, I'd like to just steal it and see what happens. But I also don't think that
we can do that too.
I also don't. I think that we end up covering a lot of that ground, like in the middle of what we're doing, right? I don't think that like our format is served really well by at the end going through and like doing a checklist and giving people points.
Yeah, I would say so, but at least we could point to that and say like, oh, this, is a good indication of this part on the, the 8 measures of guru-ness.
What would be really fun that we're not going to do would be to like measure the content we just watched on the 8 factors that they just fucking talked about. But I don't.
Well, hey, I only claim to be an expert in one thing, and it's not something I talk about on this show.
But no, I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about the thing that we just watched. It would be fun to like measure the thing we just watched on those 8 factors. But they'd score 0 on all of them, I think, because they didn't do any of it. So there you go. They got a 0. I figured it out. We don't have to itemize it or anything. And we ended up not going.
They did talk about their $2 tier on Patreon, so they get 1 star in that one category.
I thought they ditched Grifter. Anyway, I forget. I don't know if they ditched the Grifter factor, but yeah, if a Grifter was one of them, then I got a 1 out of 40 because they mentioned their Patreon. So that was like I said, about 5 or 10 minutes into it, I was like, oh, this is going to be really boring. But then they got into like the things that they were talking about, and it was kind of interesting for us to kind of compare and contrast, especially like how we talk about the same behaviors and how they like sort of went to like some length to make sure that they were accurately describing it while still having, easily digestible and sort of fun categories, whereas we don't do that. we do nothing approaching that. So shout out to that show. I don't always agree with everything they say, but they're more moderate generally. They'd have like a more moderate take on things than I generally do, and they're not as like overtly political as we are. And this show is far more overtly political than Decoding the Gurus is, and that's fine. It is nice to have an anthropologist and a psychologist more or less saying a lot of the same things we're saying about the people we're hurling ad hominem attacks at. So next week,
there's some legitimate criticism that we throw in between the ad hominem attacks.
I think the ad hominem attacks are like backstopped by legitimate criticism. There's a foundation. There. So next week, I think we're going to go with Michio Kaku next week.
Okay.
I think we're going to run into some problems with that because he is, I believe, a theoretical physicist, and you would probably claim to have more scientific literacy in the area of theoretical physics than I would. But if you tried to demonstrate that literacy on my show, I would tell you to shut up. So, because you're not a theoretical
I am not an
physics.
expert in theoretical physics. I am not even a novice in theoretical physics. I'm interested in it.
So
that's about it.
So anyway, if you want to hear more high quality banter where I just neg my hosts, make sure you follow us on Twitch, twitch.tv/Echoplex Media. And for once, I'm going to read my own show out. This has been the Intellectual Dollar Tree. We do the show live every Wednesday. Twitch.tv/Echoplex Media. You can support this project at eplex.store by buying merch or getting Patreon like subscriptions there. Also, patreon.com/Echoplex. And this one thing I always forget to mention, when we're not live, go to eplex.xyz or search for Echoplex Radio on the TuneIn app, and you can listen to and request all these fucking songs that you hear on this show that you're like, I like that song. Well, you go find it. And with that, this is one of those songs. This is one of the most popular ones here. This is Boomers by Periscope. I'm going to change the contents of my drink and change the color of the lighting in here. We'll come back with more of our usual fare. Thanks for listening, everybody.